Only mode.
Good morning, everyone. Scott Earhart here with Insurance Agency Marketing Services. Thank you all so much for taking time out of your busy day to join us. Really excited about what we're going to take a look at today. We're going to take a look at Athene's accumulation suite of products in the Performance Elite series, including their new 7-year product, which just hit the market. And let me tell you, it is fantastic. In order to take a closer look at that, our relationship manager, regional VP Mac Campbell, is with us, and he'll give us some in-depth look into that. Mac, can you hear us?
I can, Scott. Thanks again for having me today.
Hey, thank you for taking time out of your busy day to be here. We appreciate you, bud. Before I throw it over to Mac, we're going to go through a couple of introductory slides, a couple of housekeeping items, and then we'll get going. So first housekeeping item is the top left-hand corner of your screen. That's our phone number, 800-255-5055. If you see anything today that you want more information on, if there's anything that we can be doing to help you grow your practice in the life or annuity markets or on the wealth management side, please do not hesitate to use that phone number. Give us a call. We'd love the opportunity to be earning your business. That being said, next housekeeping item are polling questions. Throughout the presentation today, I'm going to launch 2, maybe 3 polls. They'll all be yes or no questions. If you would please take the time to just participate in those with a yes or no answer, we certainly would appreciate that. And final housekeeping item before we get into some intro slides is going to be questions. We're going to throw a lot of information at you here in a relatively short period of time, so I'm sure there's going to be questions. Athene has a I don't know. I don't want to use the word credo, but a mindset similar to what we have here at IAMS. We want to be as transparent as possible. So any questions you have, Mac will do the best he can to answer those. He does a great job with that. Of course, anything from the IMO end, anything you want to know about IAMS, anything that I talk about that you want more information on or have a question on, feel free to type those in there. We'll do the best we can to answer those at the end of the presentation today. That being said, let's get into some introductory slides. For those of you who are new to insurance agency marketing services, or those that this is your first introduction to IAMS, I want to make sure you're aware of the new producer bonus. This is all based on production within your first 180 days of being licensed with us, and there are 3 great levels that you can choose to cash in from. And as you can see at each level, we've got some great options. Cash rewards, personal perks, business building tools, all available to you. If you'd like to learn more about how new producer bonus works, or if you'd like to know where you stand on new producer bonus, just let me know. Love to have that conversation with you. Oh, I love this. I love this. 2018 Top Producers Escape, late February, will be in North Scottsdale, Arizona at the Boulders Resort and Spa. If you want to look up the Boulders, it is consistently ranked in the top 5 resorts in America, normally the #1 resort in Arizona. I've been there multiple times. I know Mac has been there a few times. This place is fantastic. If you like to golf, 2 amazing golf courses. If you like to hang out by the pool, I want to say they have 7 pools there. I might be a little high on that number, but they're just fantastic. Tennis facilities, an amazing spa. Amazing spa, and the accommodations are fantastic. You can see qualification there at the bottom. It does run through the end of the year, so there's still plenty of time to get you and your guests qualified. I can tell you, you will not be disappointed. And as always, Steve Murray and Charles Hiring, our ownership group, they spare no expense on these things. It is a true reward for all of your hard work. Hopefully we'll have you there with us. If you have any questions about where you stand or want to brainstorm about what we can be doing to help you get over that 2 million trip credit threshold, please let me know. We definitely want this, and we expect this to be our largest top producers escape of all time. Creative services. This is a great feature about IAMS. We have an in-house creative team. Josh and his team do such a good job working with producers, helping them build brands, increase their marketing, increase their online exposure, and they are right here in-house. And our mindset when we decided to build out a creative department here at IAMS is we make money helping producers make sales. We don't make money helping producers build their brand or marketing. We're not gonna build in profit margin there. We're gonna do it for you right at cost. So it's gonna help you save a lot of money, and you're not gonna give up any quality when you utilize our creative team. If you'd like to chat with Josh about what he and his team can do to help you with your marketing and brand building, give him a call right here at 800-255-5055. He'd love to chat with you. Part of what we do through IMS Creative, and this we're pretty good at this, is help with newsletter services. Right now, if you're not sending out a newsletter, I'd say at least quarterly to your clients and prospective clients, I think you're missing the boat a little bit. It's a great way to keep relevant information in front of your clients and prospects, so the next time that they might need a product or a service that you provide, they don't think to call anyone but you. We can do it for you with an automated system. It's really going to help you with your retention numbers, and I almost guarantee it's going to help you increase some sales too. Life and Annuity Academy. As I talk about the Life and Annuity Academy, I'm going to launch our first poll of the day. Our next Life and Annuity Academy is coming up in September, and we're starting to take applications for that right now. That being said, excuse me one second, guys, I'm sorry. Sorry about that. Had a little something in my throat there. That being said, what I'm asking you in the poll is if you'd be interested in getting more information about our Life and Annuity Academy. If you click yes, that's not a commitment on your part to attend. All it is a request for further information. You'll get an automated email from us, and that'll put you onto our interested parties list. So we'll follow up with you, see if that's something you'd be interested in attending. So what we're going to do is we're going to bring you in on a Wednesday. We'll do an evening session Wednesday, all day Thursday, do a morning session Friday, get you back out of here, hopefully have you home in time for dinner on Friday. Now, I think these academies are really valuable and something that sets IMS apart from a lot of our competition out there. We don't want to do a product roadshow for you. We know that we can get you product. You know you can get product. What we want to do is really create a sales and marketing experience for you. So with that, what we're going to do is, of course, we'll have our internal staff there. You'll meet myself, Mark Raymakers, who's our life director, Josh, our creative guy. You'll meet Charles, our hiring, the head of our RIA, Amber Williams, the head of new business. A lot of great staff that you'll meet, and we will all give presentations on what we do here at IMS to help you write more business and how we can you can utilize the services we provide to make you more efficient, see more people, close more sales, make more money. That's what we're here to present for you. Also, you will meet our ownership group and our operations management, Steve Murray and Charles Hiring. One of the unique things about IMS is we are privately owned by Steve and Charles, and they do run our day-to-day operations. And Steve and Charles, they aren't just figureheads. They want to get to know you. They want to understand your business. They want to understand your practice, and they want to make sure that we're tailoring your experience here at IMS to maximize it for you. We will also bring in some presenters from carriers for our Life and Annuity Academy. I'm sure you'll meet Mac, and what we ask our presenters to do when they come in is not just come in and say, here's our product, have fun. And you'll see this from Mac as we get into the Performance Elite series, we want them to bring sales ideas with it. This is our product. This is the niche it fits. This is how you can position it to help you close more sales. And they all do a great job with that. Now, what I think is the most valuable about our Life and Annuity Academy is we'll bring in 4 of our sales coaches from throughout the country. And to be a sales coach here at IMS, not only do you have to be able to talk the talk, but you must be able to walk the walk as well. And what that means is these are all top producers. They are the upper 1% of our industry as far as commissionable earnings, multiple time top producer escape qualifiers, and they're going to show you exactly what they do in their day-to-day practice that makes them so successful and give you the ability to take it home with you and implement it in your own practice. I think that's incredibly valuable. That being said, I'd be amiss if I didn't ask Mac for any comments. Mac's and Athene have been great partners for many academies with us, and we look forward to continuing that in the future. Mac, any comments you'd like to add?
Sure, Scott. Yeah, thanks for the opportunity to speak on this topic. As you mentioned, we've been fortunate to partner with one another on a lot of these training events and these academies. And there's from my perspective, I love talking and getting to know about the different producers' businesses, and I think it's a great opportunity to tell our story to that audience, as well as answer questions that they may have about our organization. I think this goes for all carriers that are involved here as well. But I think from your perspective, you on the phone here, really what you're getting out of it is the ability to talk to other successful people in your direct business. These are your fellow producers across the country. I've been doing this for a little over 20 years now, and the great thing about our business is that there's no one way to succeed in it. There's a lot of different ways you can do this and do it well. And you have a great opportunity to share those ideas with each other. It's a really collaborative environment, and generally they're very, very highly rated. So if you've not been to one, it sounds like, Scott, you got one coming up in September. I'd highly recommend that you inquire about how to sign up for that, because it's time well spent for sure. Thanks, Scott.
Hey, thank you for the kind word, Mac. We appreciate your partnership and Athene's partnership over all these years, and looking forward to the one in September. That being said, we've been on this slide for a few minutes, so I'm going to go ahead and close it down and move on. If you haven't taken the time to click yes or no on the polling question, if you would please do so, we'd certainly appreciate that. All right, let's move on. Paperless contracting, that subheadline there, that's all we're talking about here. Save time, be more efficient. We are on the Efficient Forms platform. About 90% of the carriers that we offer are on that platform as well. We all know the pains of filling out licensing agreements. This is a great way to avoid that and get everything done online, clicking buttons, not getting hand cramps. Chris Mount, our licensing director, is an absolute wizard with paperless contracting. If we don't already have you on the Efficient Forms platform, or if you'd like to learn more about how it works, just give Chris a call. She'd love to chat with you about that. Our website, imsinc.com, we put it out there to, again, that subheadline there, that's going to ring true with all of your experience here at IAMS. Save time, be more efficient. We put a lot of great tools out there: annuity quote engine, term quote engine, product grid, rates, links to carriers, a lot of great stuff at imsinc.com. If you haven't taken the time to go out there and register on the website, I'd encourage you to do so. IAMS Wealth Management. This is our newest venture, and we're so excited about it. IAMS, the IMO, has been in business for almost 32 years now, is when Charles founded us. And this is just the next step in our evolution. And we created IAMS Wealth to be focused on the insurance producer and focused on helping the insurance producer grow their practice and not give up the service you've become accustomed to at IAMS. As I talk about this, going to launch a second poll of the day, asking you if you'd like more information about our RIA. If you click yes, Charles Hiring or Mike Hansen from the external side of the RIA will be in touch with you. Basically, the focus on creating IAMS Wealth Management was to increase your revenue through managed money fees, so that you don't have to refer it out, or you don't lose clientele to other wealth managers. Also, to improve your client retention. When I talk about losing clientele, I'm sure we've all had a scenario, if we have come up against wealth managers, where we lose out on the entire sale because the wealth manager takes everything, or says, oh, I can help you with your annuity as well, or I can help you with your life insurance as well. Now you are that person. It will help you increase your retention of your clients. It will help you increase the retention of your prospects, frankly. So a great thing there. And strengthen your client relationships. You are now a fiduciary when you have your 65, when you are an IAR. So you are working in the best interests of your client at all times, and it will help you strengthen that relationship. So I think if you are looking at obtaining your 65, have a conversation with Charles or Mike. We've got some great training tools, and agreements to do it for you in a very cost-effective manner. If you already have your 65 and you have an RIA relationship, I'd tell you, kick the tires at Iams Wealth a little bit. I think you'll be incredibly impressed with our fee structure. We're not trying to make money off of you just being affiliated with us. Where Iams Wealth makes their money is as we put assets under management. So that being said, we're going to move on from this. If you haven't taken the time to click yes or no on the polling question, I'd sure appreciate everyone's participation there. All right. Thank you, everyone. Retirement Analyzer. And I'm not going to spend a lot of time on this, but we all know that there's some things swirling around in Washington that have happened, that may happen, that could change. Who knows? But a lot of what's at the core of it is acting in your client's interests at all times. And a lot of the way we can do that is by showing our work, showing how we decided to propose a certain annuity or life product. Retirement Analyzer is a great tool to do that. We offer it to all of our advisors if you'd like to utilize it. Marcus Solar in our office is the point man there. We can get you a free trial on it. I'd tell you, if you're going to continue to work in this business, specifically with qualified funds, this tool or something like this tool is definitely something you need to have access to. So that being said, if you'd like to learn more about this, just give Marcus in our office a call. Last slide before I throw it over to Mac, and this is my favorite slide. I love the fact we saved this till last, because all I'm going to talk about for the next minute is putting money back into your pocket. And I'm going to start on the right-hand side with marketing reimbursement. Rough numbers on marketing reimbursement. Every $100,000 in FIA premium you place with Iams, we're going to put $200 into your marketing reimbursement account. What sets our marketing reimbursement system apart from all of our competitors is, one, we're pretty lucrative with it. That's a pretty nice payout. And two, we don't restrict it. You can grow your account as large as you want to. You can cash it out when you see fit. We're not going to force that money out to you, and we're not going to cap that money on you either. All we ask is that you submit a receipt to us with your marketing expense, and we will hopefully cut you a check that same day, depending on time of day we receive the receipt, get it out to you. And it's a great way for us to just show you that we want to partner with you in growing your practice. Left-hand side of the screen, referred producer program. Our business here on the wholesale side of the industry is very, very similar to yours out there in the field, in that one of the best leads we're ever going to obtain is a referral from one of our valued clients, or you, the valued producer. So we want to thank you for that, and we want to make it easy for you to refer individuals to us. When you refer a producer over to us, they pick up a contract, we send you a check for $50. Just thank you. We appreciate that. Where the real money comes in is as we write business, that referral writes business, you're going to get a 20 basis point override on that. For example, we cut these, not for example, but we do cut these checks at least quarterly. And Steve and Charles, I know, sign checks for thousands and thousands of dollars at a time, because I'm in charge of placing those checks on their desks. So I can tell you right now, it's a very, very lucrative program for you. If you know of anyone that you think could benefit from doing business with Iams and you want to take advantage of RPM, feel free to, in the questions box, type in their name, any contact information you have. Feel free to email me at scott@iamsinc.com, or when we call to follow up, just let me know who they are. We'll do the best we can here to get them recruited over and help you to take advantage of the referred producer program. That being said, Mac, I am done being long-winded, and I'm going to give you control.
Great. Thanks, Scott. All right. If you would, just verify that you can hear me okay, and I'm hoping that you can now see my screen. Do you see that first slide that has income accumulation, protection, and legacy?
Yep, I can see the slide, and we can hear you great, buddy.
Great. Thanks again for the introduction, Scott, and happy to be with you here for the next 20 or 25 minutes or so. So as Scott mentioned at the beginning, we're going to focus primarily today on our accumulation lane of products, if you will, and specifically the Performance Elite products, which has been one of our best-selling product suites for the last several years. I show you this slide just to demonstrate that we do have annuity products that can accomplish multiple things for your prospects and your clients, whether they're looking to leave a legacy for their heirs. We've got a great Benefit 10 chassis there with the death benefit rider protection via the max rate multi-year guarantee annuities. As I mentioned, we'll talk accumulation today, and we also have industry-leading income solutions as well, whether you're looking for guaranteed solutions or participating indexing solutions. So we've got a full suite of products for you to look at and sell. And actually, I'm going to share with you, I had 2 client-approved flyers at the end that I was going to share with you. I think I'm going to share, if there's time left, one more that actually focuses on our income sale. And specifically, Scott, when you mentioned wealth management, it got me thinking about managed money. And it's a great way to enhance a client's income plan when you have prospects or clients that have a managed portfolio of assets. So we'll get there at the end, but for now, let's discuss the Performance Elite product. And really, we launched this product line a couple of years ago with the 10-year and a 15-year version, and we just literally launched a 7-year version of the product that I think is about as unique a 7-year product as you will see in the industry today, if not really exclusively unique. So the entire portfolio in general, you have up to a premium bonus of 12% potential. We've got great crediting rates, which I'll share with you in a few moments. Strong optional liquidity features, which we'll talk a lot about here with the Athene Performance Elite Plus. So a couple of different products listed in front of you now. For the most part, nationwide, we've got a 7-year, a 10-year, and a 15-year version of the Performance Elite product. You'll see that there's 2 columns there. One says Performance Elite, the other says Performance Elite Plus. The overwhelming lion's share of the business we get in this product set comes in the Performance Elite Plus variety. And when we talk about what you get for that plus, I think you'll see why. So for the purposes of this conversation and this call, we're going to focus primarily on the plus version of the product. Just kind of going from top to bottom there, you can see the new one we launched recently is that 7-year product. If you look at the landscape of 7-year indexed annuities, very rarely, if ever, will you see a 7-year product with any sort of premium bonus to speak of. Not only do we have a premium bonus attached to this 7-year version, it's actually pretty high. It's up to 5% in most states, and that's a premium bonus where we see in some 10-year products, we're giving it to the client on a 7-year chassis. Going to the 10-year version of the product, we have up to a 9% premium bonus, which represents the highest premium bonus in a 10-year annuity in the space. And then at the bottom there, the 15-year version has up to a 12% premium bonus, which again represents the highest premium bonus in a 10-year plus surrender charge product. You see the 10-year, the Select, and the Pro. Those are just different versions of our regular 10-year version that certain states require. If you're in one of those states, I think you know what I'm talking about. Typically, we're looking at Pennsylvania, New Jersey, Connecticut, states like that. If you have questions or if you are in one of those states-specific annuity states, call the folks at IAMS. I'll let you know what that product looks like. So here we have sort of the menu of indexing options. As I mentioned at the beginning, this is an accumulation play. So we've got great premium bonuses to help offset some surrender charges if that exists when you're transferring money over from other carriers. Plus, we've got great rates. And regardless if you choose the plus version of the product, which includes the premium bonus or not, the only thing that changes is the bonus you get, not the rates. The rates are going to be the same regardless. But you can see here, I think sort of our sweet spot and rate right now is our 7-year product as well as our 15-year product. You'll notice that the 10-year product has slightly lower rates, and that's because despite the fact there is a fee for the bonus and liquidity features, which we'll discuss in a minute, relatively speaking, the premium bonus on the 10-year is so high that it doesn't quite offset the cost that the client pays for that. So it does come out of the rate a little bit. So let's take a look at the 7-year, because again, that's the newest version here. Remember, we've got a 5% premium bonus attached to this thing, and you've got a traditional cap of 4.25, which is, again, there might be products with higher caps, but no products out there with caps like this with a huge premium bonus like we talked about. And then when I talk about the liquidity, it really is just a slam dunk altogether. I've got two strategies highlighted here. They're 2-year versions, relatively new to the portfolio, almost a year old now or so. One's backed by Morningstar, the other is backed by BNP Paribas. And the BNP Paribas, I think, is one of the more popular strategies. It's a 2-year strategy, no cap, no spread. You can see there's a participation rate of over 100%. Said another way, whatever that strategy does over a 2-year period, the client gets 110% of it, which is pretty powerful because the strategy has performed well over time. And, again, we choose these strategies not for what they've done, more for what they'll do moving forward. So we expect that to be one of our better performing strategies down the road as well. Taking a more granular look at how these things illustrate, when I showed you the BNP strategy, that's the one in the light gray. We'll start at the Performance Elite 7 there. At the current participation rate of 110%, what does that look like to the client and how does it illustrate? I'm not going to bore you through stepping through an entire illustration, but I have isolated some rates for you to look at. What we've done is we look at the last 30 years of market returns, and we've basically cherry-picked the best returning 10 years, the most recent returning 10 years, and then the worst possible return over a 10-year period in that last 30. The worst this has done has still averaged almost 5.8% over that 7-year period. The most recent's just over 6, and the highest it's done is actually over 6.6%. I'm a big fan of under-promising and over-delivering here, and I think with rates like this, particularly when you see the worst this has done is still over 5.7%, I think that's a home run. I think you're going to be having a lot of great annual reviews with customers when you position a strategy like this. I'm not going to suggest it's going to replicate that down the road, but we've got a great sort of snapshot of market environment here over the last 3 decades. And again, picking the 10 worst performing years, we still yielded a great return for customers. So just food for thought. I think, again, you'll have some happy customers down the road. So we talked about bonuses, which again are the highest in the industry. We talked about rates and indexing options, which are near the top of the marketplace. The last thing I want to talk about as it relates to the Performance Elite series is the liquidity provision. Now, again, we're going to focus on the plus version here, the Performance Elite Plus. Again, that's the version with the large bonus. And we'll talk about the cost for that large bonus in a moment, as well as the liquidity here. What the enhanced liquidity gets the customer is 10% free available day one. And in any year where the client doesn't take a withdrawal, the next year they can take up to 20% free in that year. So there's a 20% rollover of their free withdrawal, again, assuming they have received nothing the prior year. That's not a cumulative rollover, and it doesn't keep going 20, 30, 40, 50. It basically is every other year they get 20% if they haven't taken anything the prior year. So 10% immediately, 20% if they haven't received anything the prior year. And after the 4th year, the client is 100% liquid for what they gave us. So it's 100% return of premium. So to me, that's one of those features that is one of the greatest features that likely no one will ever use. That's a sleep at night feature. As you look to position an annuity as part of someone's retirement plan, particularly for accumulation reasons, I think people like the idea of having an off-ramp in their retirement plan, and having an ROP provision across the 7, 10, and the 15 year, just after 4 years, I think gives them the ability to sort of take that off-ramp if the product isn't working like they thought, or, which I suspect it will work, maybe things change. It's tough to predict 4, 5, 6, 7 years down the road. We know things change in people's lives, and it's nice to know that if they need to get their premium back, they can get it all back after the 4th year without any charges. And by the way, you don't get charged back either. Incidentally, the 7-year product has a 10% free amount even without this plus version. But again, you get that 20% rollover plus the ROP when you have that the plus version of the product. So what does it cost? I mentioned there was a base version of the product which has lower bonuses. The liquidity is not quite as good. So there is a fee to pay for a much larger bonus and have the ability to have return of premium and that rollover liquidity we discussed. It's 95 basis points annually, only during the surrender charge period. So if you sell a Performance Elite 7 the client's going to pay 95 bips each year just for 7 years. So a 10-year one, the same thing, but for 10 years. So I think it's a small price to pay for a lot of peace of mind, industry-leading bonuses, decent rates, and again, 100% liquidity after the 4th year on the premium they gave us. So here's just a quick example numerically of how those rollover free withdrawals operate. In this example, let's assume the client in year 1 took no money. That means year 2, again, based on the way I told you how this worked, they get access to 20% free of charge in that year. But let's assume in year 3, they actually take 5%. Well, that disqualifies them in the next year from getting 20 because they took some money out. So next year they still get 10%, but it's not the full 20. So again, just don't want to beat a dead horse here, but the only way to get the full 20 is if you take nothing the prior year. So just to quickly sum up how this product works, what it's designed to do, and where I think it fits, we got huge bonus, great rates, and really powerful liquidity features, unlike anything else in the marketplace. And as you scour the marketplace looking for accumulation products, you know, if there's a premium bonus involved, typically the rates are low. I've seen rates in some carriers that have a decent bonus in the 2 to 3% range. I showed you rates go over 4% on an annual point-to-point basis here. Or if you see products with big rates, typically there's zero bonus. And in this day and age where suitability is, well, it's a moving target at best. And typically if you're replacing another annuity and there are surrender charges there, you need to at least replace what the client is feeling on the back end of the other product. And if you don't have a product with a bonus available, you're not going to be able to do that. So this product allows you the ability to do that and replace those surrender charges. And not only do that, but do more. You know, with a 5% bonus on the 7-year, 9% on the 10-year, and up to a 12% on the 15-year, you're going to more than replace any charges likely that the client will get on the back end of that transfer from the other carrier. And again, the last thing I'll say here on the liquidity front is if you see a product out there that's got really strong liquidity, again, typically there's no bonus and the rates are suspect at best. Here we have a product that does all 3 of these things, and I think does it better than anything else in the marketplace today. So just a quick look at the state approval. This is the 7-year approval. This is brand new, so we don't have every state yet, although I'm told that in the next week or so, all the states that you see shaded in gray, with the exception, of course, of New York, we should have an approval in those states. We do have some big ones currently right now: Florida, California, Texas. The blue states are states that just have the base version of the product, so a slightly lower bonus and liquidity, but the red states represent both versions, and the issue age on this, by the way, is up to age 83. The 10-year you can see is virtually nationwide. We expect to be there on the 7-year space again, as I mentioned, the next week or so, so stay tuned for more state announcements there. And then, of course, you have the 15-year as well. Not available completely nationwide, but available most everywhere in the country. Quick look at the specs. Again, the premium bonus you see the surrender charges at the bottom. The rider charge is 95 bips. It's a $25,000 minimum premium on this. We are going to look at ways over the next couple of months to potentially reduce that minimum premium, so stay tuned there. But right now it's $25,000. You'll notice that there's $1 million max. We will take up to $4 million potentially. I've seen in the past, up to full compensation as well. We just ask that if you have a case over that $1 million level, that you fill out our large case form. And again, we're happy to take all that business all day long that you have for us. Scott, before I pass it back over to you, I did promise that I would show a couple of client-approved pieces. I like these pieces really, you know, we've all been there. We've all seen a great sales piece from a carrier. And the next question that you would ask the carrier is, well, gee, you know, I'd love to share this with my client. To which the carrier rep will say, well, the good news is we have the piece for you. The bad news is it's agent use only, so you can't show them. To me, what's the point of doing that? Why would you develop a piece if you can't show your clients, their prospects? So each one of these pieces I'll share with you is 100% client approved. This first one, labeled, is your retirement nest egg protected from downside market risk? Quite simply, it's very conceptual. It does not talk about a specific product. What it does, though, is explain to clients why a fixed indexed annuity might be the answer to help solve this problem. talks about what the market does, how it goes up and can go down, and then also talks about how in an indexed annuity, there is no downside risk at all. They don't get to keep all the gains, but that's the price to pay for never getting a zero, or below, rather, I'm saying a negative number on your statement. This is a great client-approved one-pager that you can feel free to use. If you want copies of this, you can order it on our iPipeline software on the website, or you can call the folks on Scott's team as well. The next piece I'll show you, kind of similar, very conceptual when it talks to the, how does indexing work and why is it valuable as part of someone's portfolio. This one here, performance when you want it, protection when you need it. Again, that speaks to the ability to lock in gains when they happen and never go backwards when the market goes down. So I love this graph here because it demonstrates in that light blue line what the market would have done. This is the S&P, as it turns out, over the last 10 years, how, very volatile. You did well if you were able to stay in it the whole time, but the road to get there was a little rocky. You can see that with an indexed annuity on a one-year point-to-point basis, each one of those yellow locks you see demonstrates to the client that when there's gain to be had there, you lock it in and that becomes your new low point. So in this middle section, when the market was correcting itself, that's probably being nice by describing it that way, the client's product is still earning money for them in many instances, and they lock in those gains. So again, client approved. It explains how indexing works, why it's valuable, particularly when we're looking at safely accumulating money, like with the Performance Elite. And again, a great piece to send to your customers. Scott, the last piece I'm going to share, and then I'm happy to turn it back to you to answer any questions. And this is a piece I actually was not going to share with you because it doesn't focus on accumulation, more on decumulation, income. But realizing we've got a great income suite here, and Scott, you mentioned, pooling of assets or managed money. If you're in that business, that's great. My wife happens to work for UBS, and the people she works with does a ton of managed money. I think it's valuable. I think managed money is great. I also don't think it's great for everything, particularly when it's time for a client to start taking money from that portfolio. We've all heard of the old rule of 4%. That rule of 4% these days is actually null and void now. For those of you that haven't heard of that, basically what we're saying there is if you have a managed portfolio of stocks and bonds and you were to withdraw on an annual basis 4% of the portfolio, the money should last as long as you. The reality is we're in a new world, right? The market's doing great, but interest rates are still at all-time lows. That new number, that new 4%, experts say is more like 2.8%, so under 3. So, the client's taking a pay cut there to make sure it lasts as long as they do, which is dangerous. And further, even though they're taking less, if they're still 100% invested in a managed portfolio, there's still nothing guaranteed there. We all know that stocks aren't guaranteed, but a lot of folks think bonds have guarantees. Well, there's interest rate risk there. And there could be negatives there as well. As rates rise, bond prices go down. So here's a concept that kind of talks about not taking all of their managed portfolio, but just a piece of it. So I'll give you 2 scenarios. Scenario 1, we have a 65-year-old individual, and we're going to take income at age 68. And we've got $200,000 in a managed money portfolio. And we're going to assume over those 3 years, they're going to return 7% each year. And then they're going to trigger taking 2.8% annually at age 68. Well, you can see that on the blue bar there, the far left bar, that gives them roughly $6,000, $6,500 a year, which isn't horrible. But again, what percentage of it is guaranteed? That'd be 0%. So they're getting roughly $6,000 or so a year, which is fine. But can you look that client in the eye and say, this will last as long as you? The reality is you can't do that because none of it is guaranteed. So I'm going to give you another scenario where we're going to peel off half of the managed portfolio. So same set of circumstances, 65-year-old individual. We're going to trigger the income rider at age 68. So we bought an annuity with an income rider, in this case, our Ascent Pro bonus product for $100,000. And we're going to keep $100,000 still in the portfolio of managed money with the same rates of return and whatnot. So at 68, we're going to take our 2.8% from the portfolio, and we're going to trigger the income rider. You can see that not only are we giving the client almost 50% more money on an annual basis, to me, just as important, or perhaps more importantly, we're guaranteeing almost 70% of it. So we're increasing their money, and we're raising the amount that's guaranteed from nothing to almost 70%. So I think this is a fantastic piece to share with your customers. Again, it's fully client approved and a great way to at least get that conversation started as to why they may want to consider an indexed annuity with an income rider when they look at retirement. So Scott, with that, I did switch gears a little on that last sales piece, but I'm happy to turn it back over to you and take any questions there may be.
Fantastic, Mac. Thank you for the presentation. I'm going to take control back now. Okay, I should have control.
Mac, we do, as always, appreciate you taking the time to show that. You do such a good job with it. I'm sure everyone on the line appreciates it. We did have a few questions come in, and we certainly will get into those. Before we do that, I want to launch our last poll of the day. And what I'm going to ask here is if you'd like contracting information from Athene. If there's anything you saw today that you liked, or if you're not already appointed with Athene, just click yes. We'll be sure to get that out to you here very, very quickly. First question that came in, Mac. I guess I'm going to kind of take the lead on, but if you'd like to add anything in on top of this, please feel free. Asking if we can look at illustrations online. Absolutely you can. If you are a licensed producer with Athene through your Athene portal, you can illustrate it yourself. If you'd like us to illustrate it for you, we certainly can. Athene's Illustrate or Mac's team there internally in West Des Moines can illustrate it as well. So that being said, a little bit about Athene's illustration system. It's about the best client-facing illustration that we currently use in the industry. Very simple, very easy to understand, very straightforward. So if you have not illustrated Athene products, I would highly, highly encourage you to ask us for them or illustrate them yourself. Ask Mac's team for them. They really almost take an illustration and make it a closing tool for you by presenting it to a client. Very, very, very good illustration system. Anything you want to add to that, Mac?
Yeah, thanks, Scott. Maybe add one item. It's funny. I started in the business 21 years ago selling insurance, life insurance, primarily for Northwestern Mutual Life. And back in those days, I used illustrations to sell. And to your point, Scott, at the closing meeting, and in particular, I sold a lot of whole life insurance, believe it or not, and I sold the guarantee column. It was nice to show what was possible in that non-guaranteed column, but if you could sell the guarantee, to me, that made the sale better, made it stickier, and made the client more comfortable. As you look at the illustration system, or if you call my team or Scott's team to get a copy of a performance lead illustration, I want you to look at the guaranteed page, because what it does is highlight beautifully the fact that they're getting their money back after 4 years if they need it. And it very clearly indicates that the market, we're going to assume Armageddon. We're going to assume 0% return during the course of the annuity here. And Mr. Client, Mr. Prospect, it's nice to know that if you needed it, the $100,000 that we're going to give to Athene today is yours after the 4th year if things change. And it does it in a clear way they can easily understand it. So to me, it kind of harkens back to my old days at Northwestern Mutual selling that guaranteed column. I think the PE illustration does a great job. So Scott, with that, I'll turn it back over to you.
Hey, appreciate it. Did have a really good question come in that I'm going to let you run with, big dog. Client goes into the PE Plus, gets the 9% bonus, then begins to take RMDs. Is the recapture schedule applied to the bonus?
Yes, good question. It is not actually. We consider RMDs part of the free withdrawal, right? So chances are, if your client's taking RMDs, particularly early on in the RMD process, there's enough liquidity via the 10% liquidity each year to take care of that RMD. If for some reason down the road the RMD gets larger and is a much larger share, and maybe there is some surrender charge possibilities, we actually waive charges if it's an RMD, because client has to take that, so we're not going to penalize them for it. The way the recapture works, it's only on funds that receive surrender charges attached to them. So if you're taking RMDs, frankly, if you're taking that 10% or even that 20% rollover liquidity, as long as you're taking that free part of the money, no recapture charge happens.
That's a great feature. Let me see here. I have another good question coming in specific on the PE here. And when we talked about illustrations and showing rates of return, and then what you talked about as well in your presentation, Mac, when we're talking about showing a client the hypothetical returns, are we showing them returns net of fees?
Yeah, it's a great question. You know, I think we're all lucky right now that there's pretty much a level playing field when it comes to illustrations across all carriers. The model regulation that's now largely in effect has kind of forced that. You know, one of the things that it required, the model reg required carriers to do is show the 10 best years, the 10 worst years, and the 10 recent years. It also requires that they be net of fees. So any number you look at when you're illustrating the accumulation possibility with the Performance Elite product is net of that fee. So actually, a great way to sort of illustrate that is if you were to say, let's say you're going to sell a 7-year version or propose one to a customer, you can run an illustration with the PE7 plus with that 95 basis point fee, and you can run the same illustration using the base version without the fee, and you will see the difference in the numbers. There's no doubt. You know, as an example, again, if you know for sure you've got a client that is only interested in accumulation and doesn't care about the liquidity, doesn't care about the larger bonus, frankly, the base version of the product will do better because you're not paying for it. What we're finding, though, most clients like the bonus. Most clients like the extra liquidity in case they need it. But again, everything's net of fees, and a great way to see that for yourself is to run one on the base side and on the plus side, and you'll see how the number's different. Does that make sense, Scott?
Absolutely, it does. Absolutely, it does. Only point that I may clarify on that is not only are the rates that we show in the illustration system net of fee, if you are in a product or in an allocation that offers a spread, it is also net of spread. So anything.
Yeah, thanks for clearing that. Yeah, absolutely.
Anything that Athene shows you will be actual, not actual, hypothetically, what the client would receive, not, it earned 6, but then you had a 1% spread, so you actually get 5. It's truly what the client could reasonably expect if we're looking at the, So I think everybody gets what we're saying there. Last question before I tee up the big question, Mr. Campbell, and I like this question as well. Is the bonus on the PE, the 7, the 10, or the 15, all the PE, is the bonus placed to the client's accumulated value immediately, or is it credited throughout the surrender years?
Yeah, another good question there. It is, you got a lot of carriers treat this differently, and I don't blame you for asking it that question, given the size of the bonus that's possible. And the good news is that it goes to work day one. So if you're selling a 15-year product and there's a 12% bonus, that 12% bonus gets deposited day one to the client's account, starts earning interest for them day one. Now, it is vested, right? So if they were to leave or surrender the contract, it slowly vests over the surrender charge schedule, piece by piece. But the good news, again, is they're earning interest off that premium plus the bonus immediately.
That is a very, very nice feature, and again, speaks to, Athene's mentality of client first and taking care. I think that's the most fair way that it could be done, and Athene does a great job with it. I'm just going to ask this one last question, Mac, and I'm going to let you run with this wherever you see fit. Will Athene accept qualified funds into the Performance Elite series?
Yeah, 100% yes, absolutely. Yeah, and what I'm hearing when that question is asked, Scott, and is kind of reminds me of the date June 9th, possibly.
I think so.
And yeah, and listen, it's a question that I think speaks to, you know, what's sort of our stance on the Department of Labor situation. And the short answer is yes, we accept both non-qualified and qualified assets across our entire portfolio, not only the Performance Elite. You know, we rolled out a series of documents for advisors to potentially use. You know, as other top 5 indexed annuity companies have done, we have taken and adopted the 8424 exemption as it relates to the sale of our indexed annuity products, which I think is a much more advisor-friendly version than the best interest contract exemption potentially could have landed. So we've got a 8424 disclosure form that we recommend you use. You know, the neat thing is we've got one that's branded with Athene. We've got one that's not branded with Athene, so you can actually use this in other sales if you need to. There's a spot where you disclose the compensation you earn on the sale. You sign it, the client signs it. We do not need to see it, though. This is something that you keep in your records with the client file. We also have some supporting documentation that I think helps get you familiar with what occurred on June 9. We've got an 8424 suitability guide, you know, a worksheet. You know, I think the retirement analyzer that Scott mentioned earlier is a great way to do that as well. There are tools that we're helping to deliver to you to make sure you're doing the best thing for your customer, and we know you are. But again, the government feels the need to kind of get involved a bit more closely here. And but again, kind of a long-winded answer, but just know that, you know, the change to our process, really there hasn't been one. We have a form for you to use if you choose to use it. If you don't use it, I'd recommend you use a form like that and file it with you. It just protects you at the end of the day. But our processing of the business has not changed at all. We still accept qualified assets, and we still expect to down the road as well.
Absolutely. Thank you for that, Mac. Here at IMES, we also are trying to, you know, help you navigate 8424 as much as possible. We do have a landing page and a webinar, about a 14-minute webinar that Steve Murray himself recorded on kind of the procedures and how we got to where we are. So if you'd like to access that landing page when I call to follow up, just let me know. I'll be more than happy to email it out to you. We've got a lot of great forms and tools out there for you as well. Of course, Athene's DOL section on their site is very, very thorough as well. So I'd encourage you to check that out. In a scenario like what we're in with 8424 and the Department of Labor regulations, there is no such thing as too much familiarity or too much information. I would encourage each and every one of you to be a student of that and make sure you understand exactly what has happened and exactly what the procedures are moving forward. That being said, we had a really good group here today, a lot of participation, so I thank everyone for it. We are going to end the webinar now. If you haven't taken the time to click yes or no on the polling question, if you would please do so, we'd certainly appreciate that. And Mac, I do want to thank you for your time. I know it's incredibly busy there at Athene right now with the launch of the PE7. Any parting words for the group?
No, just thanks for the opportunity again, Scott, and your partnership at IMES. And for those listening, you know, we appreciate the time you've given us today over the last hour. And if you have any questions about writing business with us, please call the folks at IMES. Please call myself or my team. We look forward to working with you. Thanks again.
Hey, thank you, Mac. We do appreciate it. To everyone that's still on the call, thank you so much for your time. We know here at IMES an hour spent with us is an hour where you're not out closing sales or prospecting for new sales, so we do greatly appreciate it. Go out and have a great sales day, everyone, and I look forward to speaking with you very, very soon.